Back, Charlie.
There's always just that active red line defending. I think it's like.
People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. I hope everyone's well and safe. Good afternoon to those of you like myself in the UK. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and of course, good night. Now, you're probably wondering where my guest is. You know, I'm on time, so he must really be bad with timing. But I've sent him the link. He should be filtering through. Obviously, people are working and whatnot, so he'll be here. And yeah, man, you know, it is what it is. It's always lovely when Buge is here, so it'll be good for it. But until then, you have to improvise. It's one of them, you know. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well and safe. One love to everyone that's been taking, you know, it's been a very heavy day for content, and obviously it will be moving into the weekend, obviously. So I appreciate everyone that took in the DG podcast, everyone that was on my last Arsenal live stream, everyone that's obviously here today and right now. I man said today, but you know what I mean by right now. And at 6 p.m, check out the pinned message. I'll have Mo here. We'll be, you know, I'll ask him anything you don't want to ask him, but I've obviously got a couple of questions for him. Obviously, we'll be speaking about the big game tomorrow, Manchester City versus Arsenal. I know people, I don't want to speak about it either. I don't want to be involved in it neither, but we have to get through it. And at least there's no Ronaldo with them, man, because he looks like he's going back to United. I really should do a video on that. Even that's another whole nother madness, you know, between George Mendes having the media on strings, between, you know, Manchester United. Is this going to be Woodward's legacy? Is, you know, did he just want to do it? If it goes wrong, or not that I feel anything can go wrong with Ronaldo, he's not going to be there. For those that don't know what I'm referring to, Woodward's busting out of Man United soon. You know, obviously it's a great move. I guess the question where United are concerned as well is what happens, because, you know, Diallo's going out on loan. You know, on the face of it, you know, Ronaldo's 37 in February, but he's here for 2 years at least. You've got what? Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, Rashford, Jadon Sancho. I'm probably missing out someone. So it's a great, it's a madness, in it. I think George Mendes needs to make movies. I think it's a fantastic move, you know, for United. Again, I think that's going to help United actually with them signing players as well, for as long as Ronaldo's there, because we got to remember they got Jadon Sancho, they obviously got Varane and all of those sort of things. And if Ronaldo's there, when you think of Ronaldo beyond football, you think of winning, folks. So that's going to help them. And if it goes wrong, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's not going to last long there, really. He's been significantly backed up. So only time will tell. And obviously, I'll go over the Ronaldo stuff when you can. Well, I say when obviously we find out what's going on and all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed. Let me make a timestamp. Ronaldo to United. All right. There he is. Hey. I see him. I had to be on time, man.
Come on.
You saying, bro?
Live and direct, man. Come on.
I see the merch. I see everything. I see shining.
Man got a call up. I'm in the first team.
This guy, man. Why you gotta do that, man? You know you're a legend, but you don't gotta worry about first team appearances and that. Why you gotta do that, bro? You saying you good though?
Good, bro. How you keeping, man? Good.
Apart from our football club, of course. See how we're smiling, we're looking young, we're full of energy. I said Arsenal, the smile's gone. I can't see no teeth from you no more.
Telling you, bro. Hey, and it's tomorrow's game. Listen, boy. Anyway, we're gonna get into it, innit?
We are. Cool off, man. Cool off. Because I'm gonna ask you. Obviously, let them know, for people who don't know. Obviously, I know you. I respect the work you've done. People, check out the description as well. You've got Buge's channel, and you've also got, you know, his other podcasts he does. But less of my talking. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth, man.
100%, man. So yeah, love to everyone tuning in. Budge, I'm part of the Beautiful Game podcast. If you haven't heard about us previously, we basically have had a chance to interview loads of different people within the game.
But stop being humble. Stop. I gotta stop you. Stop. That's a few people in the game, brother. Like, we're on your YouTube channel, brother. Allow it, fam. Allow it. Him and the boys do some great work, but I cut him off, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, obviously we've been able to interview a few people in the game, innit? Like Rio Ferdinand, John Joe
That's coming out.
Shelby, Kieran Trippier, Benica Phobie,
Storage as well.
Daniel Sturridge, Jermaine Defoe.
Man, don't
Brendan
even remember
Rodgers.
all the dons he's done. This guy's
Yeah,
big
I
time,
can't
you
lie.
know. Take him in, people. Subscribe on both them channels. I told you I got Premier League signings here. I only bring real guys on the
100%.
channel, man.
100%, man. And so yeah, man. So we interview different people within the game and whatnot. So check out our content. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, on Twitter, on Instagram, and all the rest of it, man. And we've also been doing some work with Sky Sports. So throughout this month,
You've seen him on the TV, people.
yeah, man. The transfer window, we've been jumping on every Thursday morning and just chatting through the different transfer rumors, done deals, so on and so forth. Next Tuesday, 9 a.m. sharp. Make sure you guys are locked in because we're gonna actually be live in the Sky Sports studios.
Aye,
On
9
deadline
a.m.
day,
next
man. You
Tuesday.
guys
Write
heard
that
it here
down.
first.
I don't imagine people don't know because that's transfer deadline day. So do the maths, people. It's nice to see the man them blowing and things like that. Go on, bro.
100%, man, 100%. And obviously, aside from the podcast with the other two guys that I do it with, they're both Liverpool fans. I'm the only Arsenal fan.
Oh, wow.
I also started my own little channel. That's because I wanted to do like more specific Arsenal content, football content, but also boxing as well. I'm a big boxing fan. So if you guys could show that page some love, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on the Instagram, hit me up on YouTube, on all platforms. It's Talk to Budge, man. So just like hit me up, man. Show me some love. I'm an amateur in this thing. Deluded's like,
nah, you're not an amateur. Allow it, man. Your graphics are looking better than mine. I've never shaken hands with Brendan Rodgers, so I'm definitely the amateur. I don't know about that. My contact book ain't that strong. You might even be able to make some signings for Arsenal happen, bro.
100%, man. So yeah, man. If you could show me some love, man, I'd appreciate it, man. 100%.
I mean, like he said, show him some love, people. It doesn't cost nothing to support. Open up another tab. Subscribe to both of the platforms. Links are in the description. Links are in the pinned chat. Links are in the comments as well. So there's no excuse. It costs nothing to support clean-hearted people, man. I appreciate you being on my channel. On a serious note, obviously we're on the same journey. When I see you lot on Sky Sports and this and that, it's motivational and it's lovely because it tells other people that got nothing to do with us. It can happen. Like it can. Like, there might be some little, like I don't know, a little black girl out there who's got nothing to do with football, but she's seeing you on the TV. She might say, you know what, I can be an actor or whatever in things like that. So
fam, and that's what man need to understand, yeah. We're normal dudes, you know. Like I'm a normal guy, fam.
Not normal when you, like I said, with the handshaking, but
you get me. But so like, listen, bro, like that's it, man. We're all on the same journey, man. It's all motivational. It's all positive. It's all us trying to break through and do something different, man. You get me?
Facts.
And that's what we're out here doing, man.
How long you been at it? Just to let them know. And selfish question as well. What was how long you been at it? And what was the motivation behind starting content and doing it?
Oh, so we've been doing it for about 2 years now. I think we started properly in 2019. And to be honest, when we started out, it was just an extension of our group chat. Like we talk about football all the time. We banter football all the time. So we're just like, why not just do it on a platform? At least then we've got a recording of it and whatnot. We can go back to it and so on and so forth, innit? And then probably just started snowballing. Like we started speaking with journalists, and they're like, "Yeah, come, like let's link up, let's do a little something together." We started getting invited to different events and that, and we'll start networking, talking to people and that. And like, yeah, man, like I'll come onto your thing. Like I know someone who would be good for it and whatnot. Because the other thing as well is there was too much that we were seeing in the media, yeah, about like painting footballers in a negative light, innit?
And I think we all know what we're referring to.
You see what I'm saying? Like there's way too much coverage of footballers in a negative light, and we kind of wanted to build our thing to say, you know what? There's more than meets the eye to a lot of these players. Like you lot just think it's just them turning up on match day and putting in a good or a bad performance. There's so much more than meets the eye behind the scenes. You see what I'm saying? Like these people are normal people. And you think you're trolling them on socials and whatnot, like, and you think it doesn't have an effect or impact on a person, but
of course it does.
You have no idea. You get what I'm saying? So, like, our platform is basically to try and showcase the people. Like, we obviously speak about their careers and their lives within football, but also what their interests are outside of
a human
football as
element
well.
behind
You
it.
get me? 100%, man, because everyone's human, bruv. And you know what? Like a lot of these guys, yeah, you like most of the time when they're speaking to media or whatever, they're always talking about football. Some of these guys just want to talk about normal stuff.
Just
They
get
don't
away
even
from
want
it.
to talk about. Yeah, they want to get away from it. They want to like, and that's why we asked them, like, yeah, so what do you do outside of the game, like you know, when you're not playing football, you're not training. What are your interests? What do you like to do? Where do you like to go? Like, get me? What's the drip saying when you're stepping out to a function? What
hobbies you got in
you see
that?
what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Because then you get to see the other aspect of the person as opposed to just the football player. You get me?
Facts and more facts. And I meant to ask you, in terms of the media, I mean, I have a guess why, but I'm just simply asking you, why do you think it is like that? I mean, we all see the same typical sort of footballer portrayed a sort of way. We all know the buzzwords with the power and pace and everything. Why do you think it is outdated and these things are being challenged, but they're not really being challenged, or better yet, they haven't been challenged?
Do you know
properly?
what? I think a large part of it is down to a lot of people within media have a certain mindset, which is we've always done things a certain way, so we should always continue to do
not
things
broke,
a
let's
certain
not
way.
fix it.
If you understand, and a lot of these people, it goes back down to the fact that there's such a lack of representation within the game, because a lot of these people say certain things or write their articles in a certain way, but they don't have someone who can see things from a different perspective proofreading their work. You see what I'm saying? They just have it from one point of view and one perspective. They don't have someone from a black or ethnic minority background proofreading their work to say, you know what, you're talking about this player. This might not be the right way to put it. You might want to, you know, do things in a slightly
might
different
want to
way.
think twice about it.
You might want to think twice about it. Like ultimately, at the end of the day, when it comes to the football pyramid, the people in the positions of power and who can actually do things about things are all the same kind of demographic, right? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. They all look the same. They all probably sound the same. And so like that, you're not going to ever get any change. Things are always going to be very repetitive and always going to be the same thing because there is no diversity in the media. And that's why we've seen headlines the way that we've seen. And that's why we've seen, you know, young players getting torn down, getting destroyed, man. Like
a couple months ago.
Bro, do you see what I'm saying? And all it takes is for like someone to come out and like Raheem Sterling, who's done such a brilliant job in shedding a light on it, for everyone to take a step back and say, hang on, yeah, like this has been like this for way too long. Something's got to change, man. But the problem is there's too much token gestures. I think
fam.
Yeah, we're doing this like, oh yeah, we got a poster boy that's gonna do this or a poster girl that's gonna do that. But like fundamental change that we see that is gonna be long lasting, we're yet to see still.
It's gimmicky at this moment in time, man. It just appeals to masses. It's just buzzword. You know, we live in a day and age where people say they're praying for things. Praying is just a tweet. Like you can see how token gestures is token gestures. It's absolutely crazy, man. Do you think 100%. Ownership changes things? Because logically, you know, different owners, not that I'm saying any like managers, I mean owners should necessarily sell their clubs. Do you think ownership with media houses or media clubs, you start to see, because the people that can literally control things, they can make things happen? And as you said, you got the pyramid. It looks less and less diverse. So it's just me trying to look at it from a logical point of view.
Yeah, 100%. I think it does, man. Because what's happening now, especially with like more and more people becoming independent and starting their own channels. I think what helped a lot is social media like YouTube and stuff, where 100%. You don't need to have experience. You don't need to have a degree in...
Cuts out that snooty stuff as well. Yeah, 100%. Like you said.
You just need to run with your thing. You get me? And if you you're consistent with it, you build up a following and whatnot, and you can just put out content yourself. A perfect example of that is AFTV. My man just done his thing from... Him and a few brethren and whatnot, and pattern their thing.
Literally.
And the thing about it is now, a lot of people, because you see before there was like only single sources of news and
like some Utopia, Messiah, or Castle thing.
You understand? So everyone was just gonna go to one place. You see now, I feel like more people, like if you want to get some latest updates or whatever about your club or anything within the game,
you are the best example. Sorry to cut you, Balogun.
Yeah, 100%. Like people aren't going to BBC first. People are going to their favorite channels on YouTube. People are going to Twitter. People are going to the people that they follow basically for that kind of information. You know what I mean? And I think that is shifting things so significantly because now, like the big established companies are having to change their operations. Maybe if I'm keeping it a buck here, maybe a year, 2 years ago, someone like Sky Sports wouldn't have been going out of their way to try and work and collaborate with content creators like ourselves. Like I see Flex on there quite a bit. The Gold Diggers podcast, all of those kind of things. But because they're seeing, shout out to them guys because they're doing brilliant things as well, man. But you see how like all of these things, all of the independent creators like yourself as well, man. Appreciate like you're shifting the needle, bro. Like you get what I'm saying?
That's what we've got to do, man. Because like you said with the AFTV example, not to be crude to anyone, and this is like you said, I admire Robbie about even more. But you look at a lot of people like Troops. Again, we know he can talk sense or not talk sense according to if we agree with him or not, or anyone. But people will just look at him just because he speaks a certain way and say he's not intelligent or whatever.
Exactly.
You know, R.I.P. Claude, another example. And there's many other examples. And like you said, it levels the channel because you can't control the market. You can't really control what people want. Yeah. And for me, I'm being a bit cynical now. I still think they don't, you know, Sky Sports, all these guys, they don't really want to open up the doors, but it's like, they're just loyal to numbers. If people are going out, I need you because you're bringing the numbers. Like I don't quite think we're there where people legitimately care. Don't get twisted. I think there's individuals within the society, within the structure that cares. But as a general thing, it don't care because it's not for them to care.
Yeah, 100%. But all we can do is just keep doing what we're doing because it's doing something. And hopefully, if we keep consistent with it and we keep going, we're gonna see things actually change substantially, like, and people stand up and pay attention and actually care, like you said. Ultimately, you get me?
Love for that, man. I mean, that was a good chat. I'd love to sit here and talk about that. Now I'm actually gonna ask you stuff that probably makes your blood boil. Let me actually set my timestamps as well. Obviously, 1707. Well, 1717 better yet. Apologies. Talk to me about Arsenal, man, because I had you on my channel, but it weren't, you know, the seasons happened and stuff. I got a lot of things to speak about, like Chelsea and that is too far. Right now, we have to dial it all the way back. Where are you at with the transfer market? Let's start there because we made some moves. A lot of things have happened. There's been a lot of talk. Where are you at with the squad? Where are you at with the transfer market? Also, where are you at with Arteta and the whole pre-season as he made a big song and dance about it?
What I would say to start off with it is I feel disappointed and I feel underwhelmed with what we've done so far in terms of preparation for the new season. When I scroll back to like the end of last season and going into the Euros and whatnot, obviously there was a lot of talk. I remember an interview Arteta doing where he was basically saying the hard work is done. Like all of the groundwork is in place and it's just a matter of getting things over the line. So naturally, as a supporter of the club, I'm thinking, okay, cool. You understand where we're at this point in time and you understand what's needed for us to get to where we need to go in the short term, right? And if you're saying things like the groundwork is done, that makes me feel like all of the preparation and all of the planning and everything else is in place, and it's just a matter of, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, essentially. If you look up the Arsenal squad, only, is it 2 or 3 of our first team were involved in international football over...
Not too many numbers, yeah,
not
100%,
too many.
not too many
Saka,
anywhere.
Xhaka...
You have to scratch your head to think. Yeah. Probably Leno as well.
And Leno as well. Yeah. But by and large, the majority of the team were able to have a proper rest come the end of last season
100.
and have a proper what's it called, pre-season going into this season, right? So I feel like the team should have been much better prepared because of the fact that you had the majority of the team ready from the off when it came to pre-season.
You've got them available, whatnot.
You've got them available, right? And to see the results that we got in the pre-season, of course, you know, you will always have the argument that it's pre-season, so the results don't really matter. To one extent, that might be the case, but also you want to start building momentum. You want to start building confidence before you start the season. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you can't dismiss that completely. In terms of the transfer window, I hear and I understand the approach that we've had in terms of recruiting younger players, right? Because we all know and understand this rebuilding process is going to take a long time. And so we need to tie down our best young players to long-term contracts, which we've done with Emil Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka.
Tierney signed extension this
year.
Tierney
as well, of course. And that you're going to need to buy some squad players, that like good players that will be planning for the future, right? And so the signing of Tavares, I thought was a great piece of business in terms of the value of the signing and in terms of the characteristics of the player, right? We knew that Tierney was going to be our first choice left back, but we needed to get someone else
we could believe in there.
To have a bit of rotation, because there was times where it got very sketchy for us last year where Tierney was injured and we had to do madness like play
Shaka's there and
all a madness, so we patterned that. That's fine. I can accept that signing.
Oh man,
the Sambi Lokonga move, I like that signing as well, because again, he fits the right profile and he looks a real player for the future. I really like him. I think he's gonna be a very, very good signing for us. And again,
in the Belgium team now as well. Well, being called up a little bit. So
you see what I'm saying? And again, for the price, I think it's a good move. The issue that I have, there's a few issues that I have in terms of our approach elsewhere, is that I feel like there hasn't been an aggressive enough approach to offloading certain players.
I wish I could frame that, man.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you knew, right, at the end of the season that we're not going to have Europe. There's going to be less games for players to play in. And again, I quote Arteta, he spoke about being ruthless. He spoke about the fact that him and Edu knew that we needed to be ruthless and we needed to make sure that we went about certain things and it wasn't an emotional thing. Of course, like, we love our Highland boys. We want them to do well. But ultimately, not every player that comes through the youth system is gonna feature in the first
reach the
team.
promised land.
And we have to just accept that. You see what I'm saying? Ultimately, there are players that are gonna have to move on if we want to be competitive again. And I think that's where the word ruthless is important, because you need to be ruthless to become competitive again. And I think part of the reason why we're not currently competitive is because we haven't been ruthless enough. You see what I'm saying?
So sorry to cut you, go on after I say this, but do you think that ruthless, before I forget, do you think that ruthless word is subjective? It's only reserved for certain people, certain individuals, or for certain times? Because just to play devil's advocate, I agree with everything you're saying, and I just feel adding on to that, to by and large, he matches up to a lot of it, but I don't feel that degree of ruthlessness is seen in plenty of other examples, whether that's through certain people's conduct, so on and off the field, whether that's just damn right playing well. A lot of non-negotiables for me, it seems like they're matching up for certain ones and it ain't for others, if that makes sense.
100%. See, Arteta, he's selective with it. His ruthlessness isn't like all encapsulating. It's certain scenarios we're going to be ruthless, and in certain scenarios we're going to have non-negotiables and so on and so forth. But I think that if we continue like that, it's just we're going to continue to go down this path of always being mediocre, never doing enough. You see what I'm saying? Like, we finished 8th last year, and by and large, our team, our first 11 is pretty much the same as last year going into the season. Like, how are you expecting to improve on your position if you haven't strengthened the first team? So, like, that's what I'm saying. In terms of the squad, the work that you've done in terms of the squad, like I said, the Tavares, the Lokonga, great. But your first 11, you haven't really strengthened. So I don't know what you expect going into this season if you haven't improved on what.
I think he's just hoping for over performance, man. Like, when you look at someone like a Graham Potter, clearly, with respect to the Brighton players, he clearly maximizes a lot out of players and gets them overachieving. Now, I think we've got to do a degree of that, but them things there don't last long. Like, at some point, you're going to hit a brick wall. Like, we look at Sheffield United. That one year, they was amazing. The next year, they're down to earth. I remember a few years ago, didn't Reading just miss out in Europe? The other year after that, they went down. So it's like, for me, I'm not really getting it. And I agree with you. I think the word I find myself saying with respect to Arteta is naiveties, because you've seen a lot of certain men, and certain men have failed other managers. Who are you to them? If they won't put in certain shifts for Arsene Wenger, with respect to Arteta, who are you to them?
No, 100%, man. 100%. And again, like, the whole thing about, like, the ruthlessness thing, it's like, you need to trim the squad, but at the same time, you need to improve on the quality within the squad. So from the jump, from the end of last season, why weren't you actively pushing the boat out to try and get some of these players offloaded? Of course, I get it. It's a COVID market, so things are a bit more complicated in terms of the structure of deals, in terms of the value. I think another issue that we have is our valuation of players is off, way off. We're on
a madness still. We're on a madness. We're on a madness.
How we value our players is different, and what we're willing to pay for certain players.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
Like something's off there completely. Like I don't get it, and I'm hoping this rumor ain't true. But if you use the whole Eddie Nketiah example, I think we could have offloaded him to Brighton. And basically potentially included him in a deal in a deal for Ben White. So we're basically getting Ben White for less. So I think it was like 30 mil plus Nketiah. But we're holding out because we want a certain value. We value him at a certain amount, and he's got a year left, and so on and so forth. And I'm just thinking,
now we're trying to hand him a new deal.
You see what I'm saying? Like, and that I don't get as well. Like, if you've actively been trying to offload certain players, what sense does it make to try now and offer them a new contract? We saw that with Xhaka as well. Like, for the best part of the whole summer, you've been trying to offload him, and now you're rewarding him with a new contract. Like, to protect what value?
Right now,
like,
man.
to protect what value? Like, Roma didn't want to pay 15 mil for man. So what value are you trying to protect? Bro,
we was off by like 4 million. Are we protecting 4 mil, 3 mil, 2 mil?
It doesn't make any sense. So what we should have done is been aggressive in terms of how we've done certain things. Like now, for example, with the Torreira situation, you loan a man out and you put an obligation to buy. If the club doesn't have the funds to complete the transfer now, then you structure the deal in a certain way where you can offload these men. Like
maneuver it.
Torreira, El Neni, Bellerin, Maitland-Niles, and Nketiah. Those are 5 players really that we should have already patterned moves for away from the club. If we were really being ruthless and really being serious about what we wanted to do,
some of them names were given, I'd say, as well.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
100%. And it's like we don't move when certain players have like for example with the Maitland-Niles thing. If he's not in your plans, why didn't you move him last year
when you had a buzz to his name?
Holding on to him, Where and now clubs are in even worse of a financial position, and we're struggling now to find suitors for him. But you could have patterned that last year. You see what I'm saying? Like the planning and the preparation to do things isn't as well done as we're being made to
it should
believe.
Be, as it should be. Like a club should be, like this should be streamlined. Do you feel, you kind of alluded to it and it sets me up for this, do you feel it's reactive? Because that's the word I get, because I think it goes back to the Ramsey and Alexis. You could have got 60 for a man, you didn't. You done the Mkhitaryan thing, it didn't work. You know, you was very reactive with not getting anything for Ramsey, and I think that sort of thing is just carried on. It's like, even though I don't think Eddie's the best player in the world, even though I think he's all right, logically we should have been from a year ago knowing, okay, cool, we know in a year 100%. He might be levels or he might not. Let's give him a new deal and tie him down. Even Reece Nelson the same. So it's like, if they choose to stay and sign a deal, cool, but it's like, even them, you're not giving off the right message. You want to keep them, you're telling them they're cattle essentially, and it's a business at the end of the day, but you're going to take that personally. And that's where I understand with you, because I think Eddie's a great one. A lot of our fans were like, well, Brewster went for this, how comes Eddie can't? I think it's because Brewster's gone on he went on a proper loan at Swansea. They put him out there, showed that, you know, if you show something that you can be a first team player or go elsewhere. Hasn't worked for Eddie. It's like we don't maximize it. So do you think we're being reactive? And also, I want to ask you, would you say we're quite reckless with our spending?
I think we are. I think, yes, I definitely agree that we're reckless with our spending. And that goes back to the point that I made earlier about the valuation of players being off, right? So I think a lot of people don't necessarily have an issue with Pepe, the player. I think the real issue that people have with him is the amount of money that we spent on him, right? Yeah. If Pepe we signed for, let's say, 20 million or 25 million, the expectation wouldn't be as high on him as it is. I mean, but somewhere, somehow, we've got that completely wrong in terms of the valuation of that player. Pepe is not a 72 million pounds player. No matter how you try to structure the deal, if you're doing it over a longer period of time or whatever, fundamentally, he's not that value. He isn't, right? And we've significantly overpaid, and he's not the first player that we've overpaid on. You know, Mustafi, I feel like we overpaid on. And there's so many other examples of players that I just don't understand how we value.
Probably Callum Chambers. Probably at this moment in time, Ben White as well.
And Ben White's a big one.
And he's a good player for what it is. So it's like you're doing him dirty.
Yeah, honestly, that is ultimately the problem. And I still feel like, although I like Ben White and I think that he is a great player, again, the valuation 50 million, especially when, again, it's like you're spending that money on that area of the pitch when you had so many glaringly obvious issues in the attacking third, in the middle
whole
third
of the team
last year. Like, so why don't you go and address the most important issues first and foremost, and then you you worry about everything else afterwards? You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like in terms of our approach to transfers and whatnot, it is, like you said, it's very reactive. And there isn't a clear plan in place where man know exactly what they're doing and when. And I'll give you a prime example. Yeah, a team that I really respect when it comes to transfers and their approach with things is Leicester City.
I knew you was gonna say that. You know, I knew you was gonna say that.
Leicester City,
them up as well.
Big up Leicester City, because you can see how very clear their plan, their strategy, and their approach is. Right, the kind of recruitment that they've gone out and done. You look at the fact that they signed Ryan Bertrand on a free. They've gone and they've signed Samare from Lille, who won the league last year.
Young
dominant centre mid. You understand? 17 million. Patson Daka, who was ripping it up. What was it? Was it It wasn't Leipzig.
Salzburg, innit?
Salzburg, RB Salzburg, right? So you can see there is a succession plan in place. They're looking at life after Vardy. Even though Vardy's still at the peak of his powers at the moment, they're not waiting to be reactive. They're already putting
fixing the roof while the sun's shining.
Do you understand? And another prime example is when my man got injured, the young centre back. Oh man, he was in the same Fofana. Yes, no, they didn't panic. They just patterned Yannick Vestergaard 15 million.
Quickly.
They've got such a coherent and clear plan in place. And I compare that to Arsenal, and it's the complete opposite. It's at the other end of the spectrum. There isn't a clear plan in place. It's very reactive. It's like we're signing individual players, but we're not trying. We haven't yet established into a plan. Okay, so what is our preferred formation?
Fact.
What is the style of play that we want to go? And we want to.
I'd even stop you there and say, what's the mandate on the players? Because I know that we don't get the balance. Because we all know you can't have too many old players, you can't have too many young ones. You need a balance. But it's like we're bringing in 5 old ones, then they're not playing. Then you're spending 28 million on a young one, and then there's no clarity of what's going on. You know, it's not making sense. It's almost like me, you, and 2 other guys are in the room. We all think about football differently. There's not a collective mandate. So you're doing your thing, I'm doing mine. We might occasionally agree. Yeah, all right, cool. All right, bro. Let's bring him in. But I might say, no, fucking Buge, man. He's dead. Get the other one in. You're saying he's dead. It's just what it feels like, fam.
Bro, that is literally it. Like, so many different philosophies and ways of seeing things. And we're just trying to make it all work. Somehow, mishmash, copy and paste, cut and this and that.
Just freestyling.
Just freestyling, man. And it's like a mosaic. It's just like all different. You understand? And that's why we're seeing that translate on the pitch. That's why there's no cohesion. That's why we don't have sustained attacks and we don't have a pattern of play in terms of the way that we're playing. That's why we're not able to get the most out of our best assets.
Facts.
You know, whilst I have to criticize him to a certain extent for his form of late in Aubameyang, the guy, for what it's worth, he is a goal scorer. Yeah, he is a netter. Wherever he's gone, he's bagged the goals. If we're not getting the most out of him, even if you look at, we're doing something wrong. Arteta's doing something wrong. Even his stats at Arsenal, he's up there with some of the best strikers that we've had. I think he was the first, or he managed to get to 80 goals in the quickest amount of time.
Yeah, the rate in which he done it's up there in the for a record or something like that.
So there's a player there. If there's not if there's not returns from that player at this point in time, it's because the system that you're deploying is incorrect, and it means that maybe your recruitment hasn't been the best. You haven't got the players behind him to facilitate him and get the best out.
Does that concern you? Because I look at it and it's like, I was going to ask you, but you're alluding to it already, and this is why I love you on my channel. It's like, as much as we need to spend and we have spent and all of that, coaching's a massive part of this role. There's no way around it. It's like, surely when Arteta took over, Aubameyang, sorry, is one of your key players. You know his game's reliant on pace. You know he's one of them strikers. It's mass service. He will miss a couple of clangers, but he'll put one in. Do you think it's a case of Arteta either not understanding his players, a reluctance to attack, or just not knowing, like you said, the patterns of play? Because it does look like players are overloaded in the final third.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also, you know, that key word that we spoke about before in the whole non-negotiables thing. I think at this point in time, Arteta has a very particular and specific way that he wants to play. And I feel like he's not necessarily looking at our personnel and the players that he's got available to him and trying to work according to what he's got available. I think he's trying to, you know, he has this same or similar philosophy to Pep. And so he's trying to deploy that regardless. He's adamant, we are going to play out from the back. But you don't necessarily have the players that are best placed to do that.
And did you say the mentality as well?
Because, yeah, and 100% the mentality. Because
they're nervous when they're playing out from the back, man.
100%, and sometimes it hurts me when I look at it, because I'm watching games and I'm seeing teams literally camping outside our box because they know we're going to try and play out for the back. So they're like, yeah, everyone step up, sit outside the goalkeeper's area, because they're going to pass it and we're just going to
happen, innit?
You see what I'm saying? And it's like, how can you be so like obvious with it? Like, try to switch things up a little bit. And I think maybe he's making a sword. He's making a sword for him to die on, this whole thing about being non-negotiable. I think he needs to be a bit more flexible with his approach. A bit. Do you understand? 100%, man. Like, yeah, I get it. Ultimately, you wanna have this style and this way of playing your game, but bro, you ain't got the capacity for that, big man. You ain't got the
need to adapt to what you got in it.
You need to adapt to what you got, and that's it, man. You need to be a bit more pragmatic, I think, ultimately.
Does it worry you? Because again, I don't want to sound too Arteta critical, but it's like, I can only judge a man on the principles he's alleged coming to the club for. He's a young manager. Your team should reflect that. Personally, I love to, like you said, you perfectly put it. You know, Lokonga, there's a bag of young players. You know, Ben White, we might have overpaid, but there is potential there. Respective to all these players brought in and the ones at the club, they're all spoken of in the medium and long term being someone. So it's like, I need to kind of have faith in Arteta that in the short term, there might be teething issues, but I know what you're doing and how they're tying in long term. I don't necessarily see a plan. Like you said, with attacking, if we don't look like an attacking side, Smith Rowe can improve, but how good are you going to improve it without that? If we are a shambles defensively, Ramsdale, Ben White, you know, Tierney isn't going to go on to the next level if he has another gear, Gabriel as well, it's not really going to happen. It's like, for me, I know there's a lot of variables that's wrong with Arteta, with the club, but it's like the one variable I wanted to say with Arteta is that I can't ask you nothing more from the coaching aspect. I can have my criticisms, but you're maximizing. Like, you can look at Graham Potter and say, okay, cool, maybe respective to Brighton, you get them 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 better players of a better standard to tie into what he wants to do. They're flying. I don't know if you're going to get that, because as much as I cry, woe is me as an Arsenal fan, bro, when I take my Arsenal hat on, it feels like we're spoiled kids, because we have spent money. Yeah, it's not mad fees, but we have spent money and we have been spending money. And it's like, we're just trying to throw money at the issue. I've wanted a centre back every year for about 3 years now. It's like we keep signing one. It's a mess up.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. And that's the thing. The answer isn't always, or cannot always be, spend more money. Like, you have to, to a certain extent, you have to work with what you've got. And I think maybe part of the issue is the role that Arteta has. And I think maybe he has a bit too much responsibility. Too
soon, innit?
A bit too soon. Because the role that he has now, basically, is the role that Arsene Wenger had. You see, when Arsene Wenger was at the helm, he was responsible for so much. But that's a man who has that responsibility off the back of 20 plus years in the game. Do you see what I mean? You're giving that same kind of responsibility to a guy who's in his first job, in his first role.
Maybe he ain't even done the under 18 thing like Gerrard or anything. He hasn't done any of that.
Maybe you need to strip it back and make it so that his sole responsibility is on focusing on the team, and he's not so involved and responsible for the recruitment and so on and so forth. But again, that comes down to the structure. Is there a proper plan in place? Is there a mandate in place so that, you know, he doesn't have to worry about certain things? He knows that he can focus on preparing the team and whatnot, because he knows that those who are above him are going to find players that are suited to the style of football that he wants to play. And a perfect example of that is Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool and Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. Those guys don't, even when we spoke to Brendan Rodgers on The Beautiful Game, he was speaking about the fact that he doesn't really need to be so worried or be involved in the whole transfer stuff and all that kind of thing. Just chats
to the players and that's it, innit?
And that's it. He just does his thing. He's made it clear the way that he wants to approach the game to his seniors and the people that are above him. And so the players that they sign will always fit into the style of football that he wants to play.
They've got a mandate. Sorry to stop you, but that's what I'm saying. That's my point. It's like there's a mandate. I can't specifically say as a non-Leicester fan, oh, they want attacking players, blah blah blah. You know, they probably just want good ones, but there's clearly a mandate. For me, it's just a bit too much freestyling, bro. And it's like it ties me up to
freestyling.
Where you at with Edu then? Because he's technical director. I know Arteta can hide behind my technical director's not doing such. The one luxury I'll give Edu is you've allegedly got him every player he wants. You allegedly wanted Marie, got Marie. Wanted Partey, got Partey. Everything he's got. But where you at with Edu? Because I've seen that Spurs guy coming for 2 sets, and you can already immediately, if they're not signing Italian players, it's people in the Italian league where you can, if you watch it, you're like, okay, cool. You can kind of see how they tie in. With Edu, I know it's difficult to bring in South American man, but I don't really see stars of tomorrow housing them where they can get work permits. It's not really outsmarting the market. With respect, I'm sure Steve Bold could have found these targets. And I think Ramsdale and these guys that we've signed from England are going to be good players. But where you at with him? Because
you know what, the question that I have about Edu, like I personally feel that he's in over his head a little bit. I think that the job that he has, like this whole rebuild of Arsenal is such a huge responsibility. Like there's so much work that needs to be done, and ultimately you need people that are tried and tested, who have been around the block and know what they're doing.
They know every road on that block.
You see what I'm saying? You need that. Like you need people that know what they're doing. And if we're keeping it a buck, what's man's CV? Where was he before?
Bro, that's why I'm onto him more. Because for me, I heard Brazil technical director. So obviously the lazy one of that for me is to say, yo, the Brazilian talents, what's going on? Because I was giving him props for Martinelli. Then it all come out. Nah, it was this scout. Then this happened and that happened. For me, I look at Edu and I'm like, cool. Obviously you worked. Same way you left a job in Brazil and came to England. I'm sure there's coaches and scouts who were with Brazil. They've gone off to Spain. They've gone off to France, Qatar, doing whatever. You ain't got no one that can give you the drop on what's going on. You haven't done anything, you know. Again, I don't really know. I'll give him the luxury in that I kind of feel he's crippled with KROENKE, but the other token to Arsenal is, are we getting the most out of the money we're spending? Like every signing should be impacting this thing. I don't see it. So it's like
the question.
It's like you said, what's his CV?
What's his CV? Like, how can you show? How can you show that he was the right appointment? Like, what has he done before he came to Arsenal in this role? What did he do? Like, there's questions. Like, he's not really. And if you even consider the signings that we've made whilst he's been responsible as technical director, like you said, I don't think that it's like that any of them are like crazy, clever, astute signings that, you know, no one saw coming, that outsmarted the market.
That no one else could have done but a you thing. Like, we could have got Gabriel from Lille.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
saying. Had a negotiation with Lille the year before with Pepe and that.
Exactly. So I don't feel that was particularly difficult. People will talk about Thomas Partey. Bruv, all we done was activate a release clause.
At the end of the window. So that's
at the end of the window. What, how is that difficult? I'm still not like raising any eyebrows about any of the work that he's done just yet. You see what I'm saying? Because, and also part of the reason is because for every good signing that we've made that has worked out to a certain extent, yeah, there's a bad one. There's an equally, you understand? Okay, you signed Gabriel, who's a brilliant defender. Great. There was obviously all the talk about, you know, Edu and Arteta being influential in that. But you still ended up signing Willian, and now you've got egg on your face, and you're trying to get him out of the club because you realize that he was
Probably
a dud.
have to pay him off as well now.
12 months, exactly. 12 months too late. Like you keep him. You see what I'm saying? Pablo Mari, bro. Let me keep it a buck here. What respectable centre back is playing football at 26 years old in Brazil?
No, it's not even that for me. It's like you could sell, bro. I don't get it. Why we're looking. It's like the only reason you bought him is because he's left-footed. I don't even think he's bad, but you could just see he's not built for this.
Bro,
we need ugly defenders. He's concerned with his hair against Lukaku, bro. That's not someone who wants clean sheets.
Them man are
That's
just about their hair gel and hairspray. Them man just want to keep their shorts white and their socks
they just want to play with. They're just there for playing out from the back high line. That's
literally it. Nah, man. But yeah, even though he's fair enough, left side, centre back, all that kind of stuff. They're at a premium. There's not many. Fair enough. I still have questions about that signing.
No, you're right, bro. There's a billion questions.
You see what I'm saying? Cedric, I don't know, man. There's other fullbacks that I feel like we could have gone.
Do you know what it is for me with Cedric, bro? It's not even that he's bad. It's like, all right, cool. I agree with what you're saying. There's other things you could have done. I think it was a stopgap, but it's like you brought a man in, gassed him up, said he's the best in the club in the final third, this and that, and then he's not about anymore. So it's like, how are you utilizing these players? It's just baffling for me. If you bought a tool, if you buy a hammer and you're not, you're not putting any nails in, and you ask me to be happy with that, like what's going on? There's no posters on the wall, like
100%, 100%, and that's why I remember I said it before when I came on your channel, DG.
Go on.
It's an unpopular opinion, but we can't be angry at Stan Kroenke in terms of spending money. We can't. Because anytime there's been money spent,
but I get it.
Yeah, it's an unpopular opinion, but I feel like
no, you are. It's valid as
like,
fuck. Like
when we've had the piece to spend, we've wasted it. So why would any investor
put more
part with his money and put more peas into the club when the resources aren't being used well enough? When the players aren't being maximized, when we're not even able to negotiate contracts in such a way where we're able to get transfer fees for players, and we've got man leaving on freeze, we've got guys leaving for cut price deals. Now, because of how we've mismanaged Torreira, I think the option to buy for Fiorentina next year is like 15 million euros.
50, and it's an option. It's an option. So if it's not obligation, we're gonna have. That's another thing, because it's like for me, we're gonna have him there, and we'll probably have to get less because he'd have a year left on his deal, assuming he doesn't. He does what he did at Atletico. If there's question marks for me, I don't know if this club is gonna be proactive enough to know you need to sign another keeper next year. Now, if Ramsdale shows he's number one, you need a number two. If he's moving shaky, you need a number one. But you've got to go out there and do that. Have you got that keeper on your mind and on you're looking at him? Like you touched on it indirectly earlier. It's like we don't fix problems before they fix problems. It's like if we was to be cynical and say Aubameyang's done, like, bro, you've had about 2-3 years to be looking for someone that can come in and shift the workload, because arguably these players should just be stopgaps. Our team should be able to exist. I want to ask you a question to circle back on Edu. Do you think it's more dangerous potentially having a rookie? Well, obviously the combination of two is a rookie, but would you rather experienced manager, rookie technical director, or the opposite of that? And do you think it's dangerous with having Edu in that role?
I think it is dangerous having an experienced technical director, because I feel like the mandate and the approach and the way that we go about doing things needs to start from the top and trickle its way down. So even if, for example, we have an inexperienced manager that doesn't particularly do well, at least because of the mandate, we will then know the next time we go out and look for a manager, he needs to fit within this mandate. His style of play and his philosophy needs to fit within this mandate.
If it's not that, dead.
If it's not that, then dead, right? But and a prime example is, I don't think it's the best example, but I think it's a kind of a good example in like Manchester United and Ollie, right? He's a fairly inexperienced manager, and we can all see that, right? He's not a manager that's gonna get the best out of all of those players and gonna deploy the style of football that's gonna get them the most out of all of those resources. But despite that, at least they don't necessarily have like a technical director as such, but at least they've got a certain mandate where Their thing is, we're going to spend our way to success. We've got the resources to do it. We're just going to go out and we're going to buy the best players that we can possibly buy and make these players available to this manager. And ultimately, it helps him along his way. So, like, you bring in a Bruno Fernandes, you bring in a Jadon Sancho, you bring in a Rafael Varane,
and now Cristiano Ronaldo,
and now Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, as inept as the manager might be, and as much as he might not have much experience, at least there is people who are somewhat experienced above him that can navigate, that can pattern things in such a way where
kind of hold his hand.
Exactly. And if he's not successful, then they bring in a manager after him who follows the club's and the team's mandate, and who also has a wealth of talent at his disposal that he can use to fulfill what he wants to do, his style of football and his way of playing. You see what I'm saying? But I feel like when we're at the technical level, at the higher level, if you've got a guy that doesn't know what he's doing or is inexperienced and doesn't have a clear plan and philosophy, it's so much more difficult. It's so much harder to turn things around in that way, you know?
Because it's not even, because it goes deeper, because obviously it's like sometimes you've got to tell a man, you've got to use these players to get from A to B. Next year we can do things like signing someone that might not be it's not even an age thing. We might sign a 24-year-old that might be, just for argument's sake, good enough to help us get top 4, not to push onto the league by God's grace. So then you know when to discard people, when to sell people by their sell-by date, when to make difficult decisions, how to make difficult decisions, how to react quickly. It's like what Xhaka said, the Xhaka thing annoyed me, because on the best of days, we need to improve our midfield. And with respect to Xhaka, I don't think he's as bad as people make out, but that is a role that needs to be better at. So I just think we took the short option, where a big club might say, all right, cool, Xhaka, you can stay. You might even sign a new deal, but this is what we're doing. It looked like we just said, we don't really want to sell you anyways. We were kind of half-heartedly looking at Neves and potentially others away from Lokonga. I think, that's young and what we said. And I think we said, all right, cool, you're staying. And then it goes back to what you said earlier. Then fans, we find it bewildering that a man just flirts with Italy. And he, for what it's worth, I don't begrudge him. He doesn't have to stay here. But it's like he's flirting with it and he's rewarded with the captaincy. He says, I never want to go. It's just ultimately reactive. And it's like, it feels like we've done business, but we've not done business. That's just how I feel anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree. We've done that 100%. It doesn't. Again, I saw a picture on Twitter the other day, and it was like our starting 11 last year and our starting 11 this year with 150 million, or how I think it was 129 or 130 million that we spent, and it's the same team. The only difference is that there's no David Luiz and there's Ben White now. That goes to show you everything. Like, we spent a lot of money, but we haven't really improved. And again, if you look at what other teams are doing in the league, I don't see how you can confidently attend these press conferences and answer all the questions from the media.
Facts.
And talk about the fact that you feel that we're in a good position and we just need to be patient and we're in the best possible place to move forward with this whole rebuild and whatnot. How can you do that and speak so confidently when the evidence is there, glaring at you right in your face, man? Like,
you can't deny the undeniable.
That's it. You look at everywhere else that we're just speaking about Manchester United. Look at how much they've gone and strengthened. They finished, was it second? They finished
second, yeah, and that was arguably a false position for them, because they deserved it, but it was really punching, really.
Exactly. But look at how they've gone out and strengthened. Chelsea, off the back of winning the Champions League, they've further strengthened. They've gone out and spent the cash in. And
Donsk can still get sacked if they don't do the business there as well. Literally,
exactly.
Ruthlessness.
Exactly that, like, and if you look at the teams that are closer to us, around us, right? We spoke about Leicester. We spoke about Aston Villa. Look at how the way they spoke off the field. That was crazy. The way that chairman spoke was, I was jealous as an Arsenal fan. Why you're selling Grealish? When you made that decision and how you're thinking, and that's the point that scares me, that you've kind of been saying more. It's like, if clubs are not, obviously it's reckless spending, but
whatever the one thing I'll give United, it might be reckless, but at least they're going about it stupidly, but they're trying to get back. We don't really know what we're kind of doing, sort of thing. It's like people are spending reckless, or like you said, they're doing the Leicester thing, they're galvanized. So it scares me it scares me because it's like you look at us and probably Newcastle saying that Newcastle spent big money on Joe Willock. What mandate are we doing? Like, where, like you said, you can't confidently think Arsenal, okay, we might not be where we are, but we're actively trying to get back into Europe. Like, I don't get that vibe.
100%. You know what? A point I just saw. I think it was TB1. Shout out to TB1 for a comment that they made, about like signing attacking players and whatnot. And I feel like although we ultimately did manage to get Odegaard over the line, I always felt that he wasn't enough, and we still needed at least one more. And for the life of me, I can't understand why we didn't bring in either what's it called, man? Emi Buendia. 35 million. I think that's an absolute steal. I don't know why we didn't do that, or why we haven't pushed the boat out for Aouar. Like, this is a guy that we were linked with heavily last year. We were willing to pay near enough 50 odd million euros for him. He's available for half that price, and you still haven't gone in for him. Like, and fundamentally, one of our biggest issues last year was that we weren't creating enough chances. So you need to bolster your options in that position, right?
Facts.
Danny Ceballos was supposed to be that next creative type player. He didn't turn out to be like that.
So then we gave him another loan.
Exactly. And then he doesn't perform. So we let him go. But you still know that you need another body in that area, but you still haven't addressed it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I remember taking it back to Wenger times. You see, Wenger, one thing that you can't fault him for is his teams always created a load of chances, because he understood that you need a lot of those kind of players on the pitch, guys that can create chances. I remember that there was one time we played. Who was it that we played? I think it might have been City at home. My man played Arteta as a DM, and then he played Jack Wilshere, Ramsey.
Yeah, he used to be on the
Cazorla, and Rosicky.
He was on. Do you know what is I rated about that more, bro? Go on. Do you know what I rated about that more? It's because at least with Wenger, he was a madman and we needed to improve, but at least he doubled down on his principles. He actually said, I'm going and doing this attacking thing. If it goes wrong, this is what I want to do. I don't know if Arteta has regrets. Like, I know he has regrets, but I genuinely looks like he goes, I want to be mad defensive, then I want to attack, I want to defend, I want to attack. And then the players, as poor as they are, they look a bit clueless. They look overloaded with information. Mentally, it looks like they don't go out there with clarity. Like another Wenger point. He would almost delude his players to the point where they think they're the best thing.
100%.
It's crazy.
100%.
Like we look like we know we're not levels. And when that happens, you can't have overperformance, bro. You can never get overperformance.
This is it. So it's like, pick your struggle, because we've got two. One, our players aren't good enough. And two, our players are confused. Like, where were you? How are you? You're never going to get out of the hood like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're not good enough. And then on top of you not being good enough, you're confused. You don't have the right idea about what you need to do. And you don't have courage.
Never getting out the ends,
bro,
man.
You're never getting out the ends like that, bro. Like, at all.
That's pretty damning. Like, that's a good way of putting it. And it's like, and that's the thing for me. It's like with Arteta, I don't know about you, but it just feels like something's changed. Like, it just feels like off the back of the FA Cup, it felt like certain things were arrested. We've gone away, and then last season, I don't know. Like, what was the off-field thing? Did you think, okay, maybe I have to show something now? Was it a bit of insecurities? Was that, what we started off with and won the FA Cup? Was that just a short-term fix? And this is always what you wanted to do? I'm shook, bro, because I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I look at our team and I don't know what we're on.
That is a really good point, because I don't know what has changed, but something definitely has changed. Like, the way that we approached games when he first came in, as particularly against the big teams, it was very different. Like, it was very different. And I don't know, maybe it was like what we were trying to do with the whole thing of like building down on the right hand channel and then switching it over to Aubameyang in the left channel, and that maybe I remember all them thing there. Yeah, maybe that move don't bang no more. Maybe it's like,
maybe they read it. Maybe they read it. Still,
And he doesn't come back. He ain't got a backup now. You don't really know what to do now because he's been sussed out. You know what I'm saying? But something's definitely changed. 100%.
Where do we go from here, man? Because obviously we spoke so much I haven't even asked. Now we can finally get into, you know, since the transfer things is one thing, but our season started now. Innit? Elephant in the room, 2 L's. We got a little confidence, if you can say that, in the week. We've got City. Where are you at with the start of the season, City game, and obviously moving forward at this point? Because it's looking mad, bro. I won't cap.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. It is definitely difficult. I think at this point in time, especially when you start off in the way that we have, and results and getting 3 points are difficult to come by. The one thing that you can't negotiate on is effort and commitment in the games. Yeah. So I think, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of Arsenal fans when I say it's not even necessarily losing games, it's the way that you lose games.
I know where this is going. Facts. You're definitely speaking for me, bro.
It's not necessarily. So like, even if we turn up against City and, you know, the inevitable happens and we lose, how did you lose? Like, did you put up a fight despite the fact that they're a better team with better players? Did you at least run them ragged? Did you at least fight tooth and nail every 50-50? Did you throw your body in in front of the ball?
Did you give your maximum and force them to do
maximum? Do you see what I'm saying? And I feel like that is the best possible foundation and building block to turning results around. It's the effort. You see what I'm saying? And so it's difficult to see us getting anything from that game. But as long as we set down those markers in terms of commitment and dedication and the energy that we're putting into that game, as long as we set that down as a marker, then obviously after the international break, I would say on paper, fixtures seem a bit more favorable.
Seems like there could be brighter days.
But listen, yeah, it looks like it on paper, obviously. You see what I'm saying? But that's the thing. Like, this is the Premier League, man. Any team that you come up against are on you. Like, they're on you. Like, especially a team like Norwich, who were obviously in the Premier League, got relegated and have come back. They're trying to leave hungry again for any. They're hungry. They're not.
But let me ask you that as well. It's like, I want to ask you two things. It's like, you spoke on the heart and desire and things. Like, do you think that is on Arteta because the team has to be a reflection of the manager, or do you think it's the players because a lot of them have been doing this under several managers? And also on that, do you get the vibe that it sounds stupid? We know these players care a bit more than I'm giving them credit for, you or whatever, but it just, like you said, Norwich, they need 3 points, stay in the league. You know, Brentford wanted to send out a statement. Chelsea are trying to win the league and all of those sort of things. And it just feels like every time we play someone, everyone's hungry for 3 points. We're not really hungry for it.
Yeah, nah, 100% facts, man. It's like these man, the mentality is, yeah, man, I'm just here to turn up and do my job. It's like, it's not, it doesn't feel like it's all for one and one for all type thing. You see what I'm saying? It's like everyone's just like, okay, I'm gonna do my job, or I'm gonna try and do my job, and that's enough. Like, as long as I'm doing what I need to do, that's enough. It's
I don't know about you, man.
You're not doing things with the collective effort in mind. And whilst you can say, yeah, to some extent, the responsibility does fall on the players, because, bruv, like, you're a grown man, you're a big man, do your thing, man. You get me? Like, turn up and work. You get me? Like, everyone has to do it. But fundamentally, it has to come from the manager. The manager is the person. Like, again, going back to who we spoke about, Sir Arsene Wenger. That guy knew how to gas up his players, even the bog standard ones.
He used to tell man, he told Pat Rice, don't shout at my players, it's gassing them.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But he knew how to get the most out of his players, even the ones that weren't necessarily the best players, but he knew how to get a tune out of them. And it comes back down to the manager. He has to instill that. And a perfect example of that, is Cholo, my guy at Atletico Madrid. Listen, that team is, you can see his spirit in that team, bro.
Passion FC.
Like, Passion FC. He is, you can tell the players are gassed in the way that they're gassed because he is the one that's pumping it into them. You get me? That's why them man is, bruv, when they defend, it's literally all for one for all.
It's like being it's like when you watch them Netflix, like Game of Thrones and things, and people are fighting for their towns and whatnot. Listen, like, you're not beating them unless you do a mazza.
This is it. If you're going up against that team, understand, no, you're going in for a war. You get me? It's gonna be a war. It's gonna be ugly. It ain't gonna be pretty. You're gonna get man that are gonna be putting in some hefty challenges on man.
Facts.
Lifting man up early, five minutes into the game. You get me?
That's what we need, though. Like, that's something that I obviously in the Prem, I think there's too much of that. I actually feel in the Prem, you can actually be a rubbish player, run around for no reason, smack up your chest, and people be happy with that. I don't necessarily think it's effective. But I think sometimes we need that. It's like we're too nice. It's like I want people that are just, pardon my language, cunts. Like, you want to ruin people's day. Like against Brentford, yeah, they got promoted this Rome match, big up Brentford, but no one wanted to spoil that. No one wanted to be a villain. No one was on. Like, I want a Jose Mourinho sort of player. Like, I don't advocate cheating.
We
but
don't have a villain,
bro. They don't even do that.
No. We got too many nice guys, and again, it's the whole swag thing. Man, want to do the whole image something. Tuck in my shirt, got my trim, all of that. People just want to look nice on match day, but we don't have a nasty guy, like a nasty piece of work. You get me?
You don't want someone that just knows I'm just trying to pay for my baked beans in my fridge. Like that's I'm just on the scumbag thing. I'm not here for football.
Yeah. And again, you know why that's interesting? That's why another reason why I feel like Edu being like the guy that was over in South America and with Brazil and whatnot, why he should have at least done a bit better in terms of recruitment for that kind of player. Because you see them man from South America, them man that come from the favela, them man that they're playing football to feed their they're trying to get their family out of the slums. You see, them kind of man is who we need to be signing. Those guys that are so hungry for it, like they're gonna be that nasty piece of work because it's literally life or death for them.
That's something that concerns me more with Arteta, bro. Because one thing, I said Arteta, Edu, because I thought Edu, I didn't know if he'd be a success, but I thought he at least had a real perception of where we are. Because I don't know if you remember, but early on he was making a song and dance of, I like to travel with the team, capture the emotions. He went to Dubai and that. And logically, if you're the technical director, I know you're not that. But that's just giving me Bayern Munich vibes because them man travel with the team. They don't make managerial decisions, but they can be like, you know what, right wing is needed. I'm not really feeling this. The whole outlook with centre halves, we ain't got the very thing we're demanding. Let's go and get that. Maybe we need a utility man. Like, you know, they might not get Haaland, but you know they're gonna replace Lewandowski. You know it's gonna be 30. They're probably even looking for Kimmich is nowhere near retiring. They probably got the next guy in the factory somewhere putting his pieces together and they play him. It's crazy.
Facts. 100%. That is it, man. Like, I think he sold us a bit of a dream. I'm not gonna lie.
Mad is a dream.
You get me? He sold us a bit of a dream, man. We're just gonna have to see how it pans out, man. But yeah, I mean, there's already rumors about potentially Arsenal looking for a successor to Edu, to be honest. And like, apparently his role isn't like 30. He's not like completely home and dry and whatnot. And with good reason, to be honest. I mean, I think he's got to do a lot more.
I mean, that's what I expect, my guy. It's like, again, I like I said on my YouTube stream the other day, I was like, I don't think both in him and Arteta will get the clip. I think it's either let's get an experienced director and double down on Arteta, which I think is what's going to happen. Because not that you can turn back, but I think they've just put 2 foot in so much with Arteta. I think Edu is more dispensable. And I just feel they like the fact that, you know, Arteta's contract isn't the most expensive. I'm not saying he's not upset about bringing in players, but I don't think he's on the madman Conte thing. If you're not bringing me a centre half, listen, I'm going to flip everything in this office sort of business. So I think it's a relationship of convenience. You're not being a headache to us. We're not being a headache to you. So I think they'll bring him. I think they'll bring in a different director, and they should, because as we said earlier, a more experienced man, we might be able to have a bit more of these Tierneys and Martinellis, and then for me, as much as I criticize Arteta, I can't clearly say the one reason you're not doing well is because you're not getting the best out of the players. It's that, then it's the other stuff. And to be fair, there's a lot of stuff with Edu, so there's a bit of a mess. Apologies, Christian, because I've left your super chat up there for a while. I appreciate that. But you said also another 5. United also proved their reputation as a big club. They don't have oil money and still beat City. Arsenal could never. I missed it. I think you had another super chat as well. You said big ups, one love. You said Ronaldo left and is now back. The team continues to slide downhill since. I mean, it's laughable at this point. I mean, Arsenal ain't got United's money, but we need United's ambition. Like, we at least they're stupid about it, but they're not trying to do this thing.
Big facts. That is it. Like, we can't match them in terms of money. Obviously, Like the Glazers are and just like how much money the club makes, man, in terms of revenue, like how big the club is globally, we can't really match them. But like you said, in terms of ambition, like you don't really need a lot of money to show ambition. Like
half the signings, the not big money signings that we've been asking for. We wanted Mane at Southampton. We wanted a little Robertson when he was at Hull. You know, we wanted Mahrez when he was inexpensive. We were screaming Kante. If anything, they went for the more expensive ones because Kante was, you know, you could have got him cheaper. I love Wenger, but we signed
Xhaka in the same window.
This is what I'm saying. Same Chelsea amount of fees, bro, or less. Like, come on, like it's these sort of things, and then we're mad on it when it doesn't make sense. Like with Mkhitaryan, like with Willian, do you know what? I'm not even going to sit here and cat with Kolasinac. They were saying Bundesliga team of the year, free transfer. That one's a bit of a rarity. It just didn't work out. That happens in football, but that's what scares me. It's like for me, the team, as you said, this club should always reflect whether a new owner's coming in or whatever. There should be certain values like Barcelona used to have. You know, if the new owner, if a new club Donny comes in now, we're going to sit there and say, oh, he needs to change his squad. He needs to do this. Because if we was to get Conte, you know, again, I'm not saying it's right. And you can tell a man, not that he's coming, but you can tell a man you got to use his targets. But if he said, you know what, I hear what you say about Ramsdale, fuck that. Ben White, fuck that. I need something else. I don't care what you're telling me. I need next piece. I'm not with that. Now, are we going to say, all right, cool? Because for me, when you bring them man there in, you have to double down on what they're on. If it don't work, cool, but there's no point being half in, or you might as well do the Arteta thing or whatever you was doing before that. It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. You know, man, like Conte, he's not a yes man, isn't it? He'll out you in the media. Like if he feels that the club isn't backing him or isn't doing what he wants to do, he's gonna make it clear and known to everyone.
He ain't got time for nothing else. He ain't got time for nothing else, bro. Let me ask you last question before I let you get out of here. Score predictions, man. And score predictions, and actually what are you expecting in those 90 minutes, you know, and also how would you actually line up? Because there's a lot of talk, 3 at the back, 4 at the back, you know, our confidence is shot. Could we just, you know, damage limitation, or we going out there on this attacking thing, seeing where it could take us? You know, Spurs gave a good blueprint how you can counterattack them. So where are you looking at from a tactical point of view and all those things, bro?
My predicted lineup, I think we're gonna go 4 at the back. I think we're going to go Leno, Tierney, Murray, Holding, and Cedric or Chambers.
It's one of the two, isn't it, really?
One of the two, yeah.
Who knows, Bellerin might pop out, such as this stuff now. He might do an Undertaker, man.
Crazy, honestly. I think Xhaka and Lokonga start in the middle. Odegaard, 100% is going to start. 100%. Saka obviously starts on the right. And I think that then means that I think off the back of the West Brom result and how prolific Aubameyang was in that game, I think he'll want to start him playing through the middle.
I think he's going to go back on the left, you know.
Do you reckon?
Because he weren't in the press. He was kind of like, he scored. Say some seasons he scored a lot more from the left. He almost felt like people were trying to get him direct. That's the one sort of thing I saw reaction. But I would love him to play through the middle, man.
Because the only thing is, I feel that he has to start Odegaard. He's going to start Odegaard, but also Emil Smith-Rowe needs to play because at least he offers some. And at least he offers a bit more going backwards than Aubameyang. Do you know what I mean? He's going to run back. He's going to track back. He's going to thing. So I feel like because of that, then he plays Aubameyang up front and then Emil Smith-Rowe from the left. I think
Odegaard in the 10, innit?
Odegaard in the 10, and I think Pepe and Lacazette start on the bench.
So that slides in Saka on the right, innit?
Yeah, exactly. In terms of result, I think I don't know if we score, man. I'm not even gonna lie. I see a 2-0 if I'm being completely honest.
Bro, the way we're moving, I think 4-5. I don't think it can be pretty, just because, like, the thing is, when there's so much pressure on the club, and with respect to these guys, when they're soft anyways, the form is wrong anyways, you know, there's no given guarantee that even after this game we start playing well. Even though I criticize their heart and their passion and all these things, sometimes you've got to try and preserve something that's left, you know, and we saw it under Wenger's last year and the year before that. I just feel the more goals we keep conceding in the manner and the more shambles it's looking, I do think the confidence goes a bit more. That's why I'm kind of on the three at the back. Because for me, I'm looking at Marie. No matter how much analysis you do, bro, you're not fast. No matter how good you read the game, you know, you're not fast. You're limited, and it's no disrespect to you, but you're gonna be thrown to the wolves again. Like if, bro, against Chelsea, if you can't handle their movement and all those sort of things. Bro, it's like being in the deep end and saying I can't swim, so somehow
100%.
surviving and then going in an even deeper part of it. Like it's the bit of a madness. At least three at the back, we can fight. It's that it should be damage limitation. And
but
then
who plays in the free though? DG?
This is the other fuckery, bro. Because
Kalassan actually gonna have to play in that free then.
Do you know what the wickedest thing is? It's the way you're saying it and what's going on. It might not even be that bad, like right at this moment. Like, bro, I don't know, man, because. All right, let me think, man. I think I'll probably scum it. Tierney's going to get moved over there just to have one decent guy there. Holding's going to get a pick. You probably go Marie in the middle, I reckon, just because as much as he's a bit calam, he's a reader. I'm not really a fan of Holding and Chambers. I don't think there's a, you know, it's like the deaf leading the blind leading the deaf.
Yeah.
So probably them. You know, Gabriel played 45 minutes today. I doubt he's travelled or travelling to Manchester. You might even, well, you can't even scream the Xhaka thing there, and then it's because El Nene and Lokonga, that's gonna be mad.
Yeah, that's Kalam still.
Yeah, you might as well. You know what? You probably might as well just do the 4 at the back thing. Just go for it, man. You get smoked, man. Like the way you're saying it, because you're making me see it like, bro, we're down to the bones.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
And our bones is not bones. Like,
honestly.
Hey, I don't know, fam. Like, score prediction, with my heart, I hope for a 1-1 or 2-1 Arsenal, but I think it's a cricket score, man. I hope Pep allows it and stuff, but it's just, I don't think them man have time for sympathy because, you know, you've got Chelsea and Liverpool now. You can take points. They're probably 2 title contenders. United, Ronaldo, send a statement out against us. If you know, it's not even, you don't even get credit for beating Arsenal again, but I'm shook, bro, because we're so naive, and it's like a deer in the wild, and it's bare lions out there. You're not gonna last long, and like you saw against Norwich, City don't have to be at much to pop you open.
That's the problem. And also, I think my biggest worry is us conceding early, because if we concede early, it's gonna get real nasty.
Jenga settings, like, bare crumbling.
Yeah. I think it's gonna get really nasty. If we can hold them off for at least 25-30 minutes. I've got a good feeling, but if we can see within the first 15 minutes, it's.
But that's what I see is happening, bro. Because it's like another thing I don't like is, you know, you're a boxing man, so you understand this example. Obviously, I watch boxing, but I'm not like you. But I can assume if you're gonna fight someone, you might have, you know, he likes to jab and he likes to do this. He's a bit eccentric, so you're gonna plan for that all week, month, whatever. 100%. You get to that fight now, and he's actually conservative or whatever. He's not boxing how you thought he was, so that plan's out the window. And like he might do something that just knocks the taste out your mouth, and it's like, how do you react to that setback? You know, I don't think it sounds dumb, but I just
plan B still.
Yeah, no, it's not even that, bro. It's like you play football, you're gonna go a goal down, fam. Like,
yeah.
We go power league in that. Like,
yeah. Come on, like, it's gonna happen. Yeah,
like, it's almost like you said, early goal, man. Are like they've got all the motivation in the world. They listen to all the motivational YouTube channels. Arteta says it, but once the goal's conceded, they're down. And in the Prem, you can't feel sorry for yourselves, especially against City. And I'm shook for that sort of reason, bro. It's mad.
Yeah. And it's true. You know what? Yeah, you even see it with the players, like them feeling sorry for themselves and feeling like they need to be like cuddled and like put your, you know what I mean? That you can see it. Like they
people just want their mum, man.
Yeah. It's nah, man. It's not. Again, it's the mentality thing, man. It's the mentality. Going back to the manager, he needs to instill that within the players. Like, okay, bruv, even Sunday League, bruv, like your managers, your gaffers said it bare times. If we go down, get me heads up, get the ball. Like, do you see what I'm saying? We go again. Do you see what I'm saying?
But it's almost like kindergarten. It's like spoiled kids, like them kids that get to go to the Arsenal soccer schools and things. And like Tommy's hurt himself, put a bandage on that. That's not how life works, man. Last question. Where do you see us finishing, man? Because I have to ask everyone that comes on here, where do you see us finishing?
7th.
A bit of optimism. All right, cool. You're probably the most optimistic done of us.
I think we'll finish 7th, yeah.
What gives you that confidence?
On a goal difference thing or something.
I'm sure, but I think it's more. I actually think it's 8th to 10th. You know, the wickedest thing, clearly with Ronaldo, our top 4 shouts are gone. But I think if the mentality was there and that overperformance and certain things were not there, we make a real meal of things. Like we could at least come 5th or do something. But like I'll go with 7th, man. I think 8th and below, just because in life we've stagnated because we've not wanted to get better. And at some point you drop down, innit? Like,
yeah, I hear you. I think it's the optimism is around, and it's really hope that we can keep the first 11 fit. And obviously with only really having a game a week, I think, like, yeah, man, like if we're only playing once a week, yeah, man, we've got enough time then to prepare, to rest, with all of the key first team players and whatnot. You're obviously hoping that second season now, Emil Smith-Rowe, his output improves. Odegaard settles in a bit more. He can contribute. Saka improves on his return from last year as well. Just like stuff like, and obviously as well, my hope and my expectation is that Aubameyang isn't going to have as bad a season as he had last year.
God's grace.
You see what I'm saying? So all of those factors, I'm like, okay, hopefully then that should mean that we get marginally better. You know what I mean?
You said it there, man. And I mean, let's listen. Let's hope, innit? Let's hope that this time tomorrow, we're celebrating, bro. This time tomorrow, we'll be 10 minutes away from the big boys kicking off. So
yeah,
I hope we can win.
I can't lie. I'm not happy about the fact that we're the early kickoff still.
No, we're gonna get rubbed out. Like it gives me them when we used to wear the yellow kits. We went to Liverpool and like Sturridge, Sterling, and maybe even Suarez. They just tore us a new one. I think it's them settings. Man. I would have preferred a Monday night something. Nah, let's get this out of the way. That's all bank holiday, man. Just get this out of the way. I would have preferred to do this thing today, bro. We should have just done it today. Like, just get rubbed out. The weekend is there. We could talk about other football. Go back to speaking about Ronaldo, Kane staying at Spurs, all these other relevant things. It feels like Arsenal's an inconvenience when I'm speaking about football now, man. It's just it's sad, bro. It's absolutely sad, man. But love for tuning in, though, man. I've appreciated having you here, man. We need to do this. So I know we've been acting. 100%,
bro. We need to run this on a consistent basis, man. Fam, it's nothing but love when I come on, man. Like, I enjoy it all the time, but so we need to make sure, you get me. We just run it more often, man.
Come on, and you know,
shout out to everyone locked in as well, man.
Appreciate that. Yeah, but he's getting love in the comments, and obviously, you know, if you like the guy, you like the kid, take him in a bit more. Like he said, you can see all the, you know, on his other platform, you know, the Beautiful Game podcast, bag of interviews. You know, for me, one thing I like about the managers and all these things, they're great. Don't get me wrong, but they speak to little scouts and these other roles in and around football that they give little nuggets into just what it's about. So they've got a lot of stuff there, and obviously support the personal brand as well. Come on, people, let's get up the subs and whatnot. You know, we're gonna pattern that as you're here on a more regular basis and things. We'll get there. You know, support the man and people. Please make sure you're hitting the likes, and let's hope, man. Let's hope that we're here on a positive thing this time.
Yeah,
tomorrow, man.
Let's wait and see, man. Let's wait and see. I can't say I'm excited, but it is what it is, man. Let's see what happens.
Like you said, it is where it is, man. People were out, man. Hit the likes, take care. We're gone.
There's always just that active red light, defending. I think it's like